Nobody needs to tell me I look good. Every day is a good hair day.
Oh, good.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I think that's true. Well, not on my head, but in needle felting.
It's both, really.
I'm so excited to bring you guys this project. We've been talking about it for a long time, but everything has a time, and this is a better time. This is good. I've worked it out farther. It is a little more complex than the snow hare. So I'd say if you feel like making 2 hairs, make the snow hare first. The brown hare is a little more lean and has more sculptural details. So it's just a little more involved than the snow hare.
That's why we decided not to do the 2 together.
Right. And I'd say this is a nice level 3 to level 4 jump in terms of you refining your realism and your techniques and your skills, your mad skills. So I'm going to use the normal needle felting tools, needle surface pen tool, punch tool. I'm going to use the Renzulli tool and the face ace. And I think that's about it. I mean, you'll want to have whatever else you like to have on hand, pliers, scissors, grab and stab. So yeah, it's the armature is slightly different than the snow hare, which you'll see as we go through it. Brown hares are, in a more arid, hotter climate. And I'm working from the European brown hare. If you were going to Google an image, that's what I'm looking at. And the snow hares, they live in the cold, so they're all kind of compact. Whereas the brown hare is a little more lean and brown, long. Yeah. So we should get started.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's time to hop to it.
All right. Our supply pack is so fresh. Doesn't even have a tag yet. There are a ton of fun fiber in here. We're going to do a little bit of blending. So we gave a lot of options for color variation and a little piece of pre-felt. I decided I really like having the pre-felt as a start to ears and the little foot pads because it already has some structure and you can end up with a thinner felted piece than when you have to fold everything in to give it structure. So we'll just set that aside for now. This is our off-white chunky core, which is the bulk of the project. And then the accent colors.
Oh, that just poofed, exploded.
A couple of core colors, oats and caramel, and 2 colors of gray. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? And black. And then Sarafina white. These are our kind of more smooth, our top coat colors. This is for ears. This is for eyes. And then we have, we don't sell this actually. It's a Manx. It's a really beautiful natural brown, autumn gold, chestnut, and smooth brown top. So with these, we make sort of the whole variation of the browns that are in the hair. So, but we don't need them right now or for a little while anyway. Okay. The armature wires, there's 3 14 gauge armature wires. Oh, darn it. I opened the wrong one. Because remember I changed, my wires. So there's the 14 gauge armature wires, and I'll show you those in 1 second. And then there's going to be 3 22 gauge wires, which I just kind of tweaked my my supply pack a little bit because I upped the thickness of the wire, and 1 pipe cleaner for the body. One of your wires is very long because it does the whole body and their great big hind feet. And then 1 is medium and 1 is short because it's the it's the extra support for the hind legs. So we've got 30, 22, and 18. So we're going to start with the 22. So we always recommend on our tutorials just watching once, get a feel for where I'm headed. Also be aware that this is a level 3 and that you will want to be familiar with how I make my armatures, because I'm not starting at the very beginning in terms of explanation, assuming that there's some familiarity with our process. So I want to go to, let me get my ruler here.
Which wire did you just start with?
I started with the 22.
Okay.
And I want to twist it to 3.5 inches. When I'm right there, I like to give my last twist a real strong twist. Okay, and then our neck is going to be 1 inch. So from where the twist ends, I'm going to work this way, 1 inch and 3/4. And then the head is going to be 1.5 inches across the top with just a little fold down for the muzzle, about 1/4 inch for the muzzle. So that's how that looks. Then we're going to take our 30 inch and do our shoulder twist by finding the center.
That is a huge wire.
Yeah. They got to jump high, run fast and jump high. So they need great big legs. And then put the center of that onto the base of the neck from the front and twist each side together 2 times. So I want the long wire to come back towards pointing to me 2 times. So that's 1 time and that's 2 times. And I've gotten fancy and ambidextrous, and now I can do the other side without turning it around. Always turn your shoulder wires internally rather than externally. It puts the front leg wire in a good position to come out of the twist without getting overstressed by having to go over the wire. That has come up as an issue once in a while. Okay, then we're going to bring our 2 back wires together. I leave a triangle here. If you need a measurement, it's probably about 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches from the shoulders. It doesn't really matter. You just don't want to squeeze this together, eliminating the space in the chest. And then twist these together 5.5 inches from the arm. So I'm going to go from the arm.
Poking everything.
Yeah, from the arm, 5.5 inches. They have a nice long back because it's like really, it's really like tucked up. So that's more power, more spring for them.
Do you know how fast they can run?
No, but I'd like to guess. I'm going to say 30?
45 miles an hour.
Wow. I'm going to do one more twist. It's close. Okay. So my remaining wire lengths are approximately 6 inches and 8 inches, just to make sure that you are on track. Now we're going to use our 18-inch wire, and this is a support for the hind legs so that when your sculpture is finished, it has plenty of support and can stand on its own. I'm not going to take the time to balance this right now, but the wire strength is there once you figure it out. So I'm going to find the center and put it over the butt by the hind legs and just twist down each side the entire length. My twists are about 1/4 inch. They're not really tight, just enough to marry the wire evenly, but not so much that you lose length in the wire or fatigue it by making it so tight. this one, I do go the other way because this is the way that I wrap. So I like to twist my wire in the direction that I wrap. And just make sure it's nice and even so that it's smooth. All right, now it's time to put in some bends. So I don't have a point of the shoulder built into this armature. In other words, I'm not going to bring the wire forward. I do that with wool to create the kind of like what would be the collarbone. So we go right back to the elbow, and it's 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches from where the wire comes out of the body, and you want to make a backwards bend, a bend that goes towards the bunny's butt. What rabbit number is this for us?
I don't know. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And then we're going to go 2 inches from the elbow to, they do have like a little wrist.
I think it's number 6.
Wow.
This is why I don't have a lot of jokes or things to say. There's only so much rabbit information in the world.
Some Sarafina rabbit research.
You did?
I'm trying to.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Good. Yeah, bring it. I think particularly if you were to look at hair differences or difference between a hare and a rabbit, maybe would be interesting.
Oh, I was going to see.
He was doing
Sarafina.
actual Sarafina. So I
All
think
right.
in the snow hare, we talked about a good bit of hares versus rabbits.
Okay.
But then brown hares specifically.
I'm jumping to the back leg real quick. So I want to do a knee. Everything's at 2.5. So I want to do a knee at 2.5, a hock at 2.5, and the foot at 2.5. And usually what ends up happening on the feet is I just cut a little bit off of this short wire. This is the way it hopefully works out for you. And then the longer wire just comes around to make a loop. And that distance you want to be 2.5 inches. So let's see if we got the same thing going on over here. You make a tool that's like real easy to hold up to the armature when you're making all these bends. A smaller ruler, I guess, would be good.
Do you know the main predator for the hare?
Fox?
It is a fox.
Why? My right foot always ends up bigger. Always, always. I'm gonna make it smaller right now. I'm not gonna play that game anymore. I measure. All right, now it's like a lot smaller now. I'll get it. There we go. I mean, there's a lot you can do with wool. And then the foot on the front, this wire is a little long. We want from the wrist bend, we want this distance to be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to cut about 1 inch off, but that's just because that's where my wire ended up. I would go this way. And then when I fold this around, I want this foot to be 3/4 of an inch. That's a little long. That's all right. All right. So yeah, there he goes.
He already looks ready to take off.
Okay. The reason I switched to 22 gauge wires, one is going to be the ears, which you need a nice sturdy wire. The others are going to do our legs, like we would normally do pipe cleaner, but the front legs are short enough that a part of this wire is going to be tendons for the hind legs. And the 26 was just a little wimpy. So we're going to use the 22. I found the center. I'm just putting it over these shoulders. I don't do any twists in here. Just let it sit over there. And then gently wrap it down the leg. So this will also give our legs a little bit of structure. And when you get to the foot, leave yourself 1/4 of an inch. Cut it. And sometimes these cutters do not like to get the string, the fabric part of this wire, and then just fold that over the end of the toe so that the last and tippy end of this foot is the cloth covered wire. That'll help the wool to stick. And then keep this because we're going to make this into an Achilles tendon on the hind leg. This one's going to end up folding up over the toe, which is totally fine. Over or under, it doesn't matter. And then our hind legs, the wire's pretty much just going to go down the leg, out the foot, and fold over. I don't think there's any extra. I like it when I can get the pipe cleaner or the cloth covered wire to just nestle into the twisted wire. It's nice and smooth. So what did you find out, John?
I got overwhelmed with the sheer number of videos.
We have bunny puffs, sleepy bunnies, basket bunnies, 3D hair, the snowshoe, 2D snowshoe hair. Oh, the wet, no.
Not
That was
yet.
a fox, not yet. 5, and then this makes 6,
Yeah.
with maybe a 7th.
Yeah, I have a wet felted 2D in
Yeah.
mind. Oh, I really want to do that.
More spoilers.
I know. So much to do. Okie dokie. And then the last part of this picture is the pipe cleaner, this armature picture. So I just fold a little bit over the butt. I don't put any wire in their tail. Their tail is so small. I just make it out of wool. Come up the body, and then I just come up between the legs. Like, don't worry about these. It all gets plenty of wool on it. Come up the head, and it should be just long enough to fold over the end of your nose. And that is your armature. I like to keep posing things the way they should be so I can see what the animal's going to look like. Time for wool. Lots of off-white chunky core wrapping. And my super thorough notes are going to help me along the way. All right, we're going to start with 8-inch quarters.
German proverb. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hares are caught with hounds, fools with praise, and women with gold.
Why do you always pick those?
Proverbs generally are like not uplifting, I don't think.
She just wants to poke the bear. I am caught with praise.
Praise. That makes you a fool, apparently.
That makes me a fool, not a woman.
According to the Germans.
They're mutually exclusive.
Oh, he's going to get something thrown at him.
So I just started at the top, coming down nice and tight, as smooth and tight as I can. And my goal here is just to get wool onto, you can straighten the leg out a little bit if that makes it easier to wrap. Just to get wool onto the leg. I'm not doing any, I don't like that. I want that strong right there. Not doing any fancy wrapping. On the hind legs, I do always tend to just, even if it's just a tiny little fringe, go around the body. It's such a nice anchor that's not available on the front legs.
There's a lot of proverbs about dogs and hares.
Yeah, The Fox and the Hound was like one of the very first movies I saw in the theater. I know this doesn't have to do with hares, but it has me thinking now there needs to be a fox, hound, and hare movie.
Yeah.
I think the hare would be a good addition to that scene. Because
Well, the hare's like the hunted.
the hare is the hunted.
Wait, were the foxes hunted as well?
Yeah, the foxes are hunted by the hounds. Not naturally, but because
Yeah,
people
oh yeah. Well, they had to, it says right here, one of the main threats to brown hares was hare coursing.
Oh,
The
yeah, like with
chasing-
sight hounds.
The chasing, yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a popular pastime in the UK, but has now been banned.
So on the front legs, to get it to anchor, I just go around the same spot tightly, and that holds your end in place. And then I start to move down the leg. You're going to have a little too much fiber here. And I do want to wrap the feet in the dark gray because we do this fun little reverse. Oh, I meant to mention that I use the reverse needles. We'll have to mention it in the listing. Make sure people know. You don't have to have it, but I'm going to wrap the feet in dark gray. So I don't want them to be really built up. If you have too much wool, pull it off because we're going to add more fiber here. So if anything, taper to nothing, but just a thin layer is fine. I think the brown hair is challenging. I think, there is a very specific look to their face. And I got it pretty well this last time. But it's going to be challenging because it's not super simple and straightforward. There's some sculptural decisions to be made. Okay. Let's go ahead and do those dark gray feet. So for the hind legs, I'm going to use about 4 inches split in half. Now that was more like 3. Just kind of give it a little stretch. I feel like it pulls some of the air out of the roving and makes it real easy for you to wrap. So this is before and after stretching it. Okay. I'm going to use my thumb and just round the end of the foot a little bit. Because with this dark gray, I'm going to do a little crisscross here. I'm going to come out to the end. And then I'm going to crisscross on that little roundness. And that's going to build up their foot kind of into the shape that it is. And just keep smoothing this out so that my little fringy fibers hold everything in place. You can stab if you need to. So he has this nice little foot shape on the end here where all his toes are. So now this is very flat. So I'm going to just press up, make a little curve, and I don't have to cover the whole foot. Just this last 2/3 of the foot. I'm going to go out to the end and make sure my toes have a nice bit of wool on them, and then start my crisscross. Really controlling where the wool goes is a practice thing. But hopefully you're having fun practicing. All right, and then on the front legs, I'm going to use a smaller piece. Tried to get about 2 inches, split it in half, stretch it out. This might even be too much. And just this little foot, just the end of the foot, I'm going to do a couple crisscrosses. Yeah, I think this is still going to be too much. So I could have quartered that. You don't want it to be huge, especially on the front. So take a little bit of this fiber off.
So there's a proverb I see with German, Dutch, Japanese, lots of different forms.
All of them share the proverb?
Yeah.
I didn't know there were
think
Japanese
even more-
hares.
Well, just a saying. It's even Czech. But they all say if you chase after 2 hares, you will catch neither. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That is relevant.
It's very, very, very profound.
They can run 45 miles an hour. I don't think I'd even.
This is true. But you might have a shot at 1, 2. Just give it up.
The proverbial hare is hard to catch. Okay, back to the off-white chunky core. I'm going to take like a 12-inch piece and quarter it. It's a nice long piece. It's just, we want to get somewhere on this body, and if we keep messing around with little pieces, we're not going to get anywhere. I think the easiest thing to do is hit the chest wrap first. So I just start around the body, over a shoulder, under an armpit. You should be familiar with this. Under the armpit and over the opposite shoulder. And it makes an X on the chest. So I have a little more, so I'll just do it again. Over a shoulder, under the armpit. You have to go over the back, and then you can go over the under the armpit and over the shoulder. So that was one of my quarters. And then I'm just going to go back to front here. Doesn't really matter which direction you go. On the tight side, you're trying to, you don't want this to be loosey-goosey. Doesn't have to be skinny, but it needs to be tightly wrapped. And then I like to go the other way, which sometimes messes it up, but I do feel like it gives your little hair a nice balance, not all twisted in one direction. So that was 3 pieces. And we'll go one more time. I'll go this way again because I want the bulk of this to end up back here. So that was 4 quarters of a 12-inch piece. And then to get the head and neck, we're going to work with 8-inch quarters.
So they eat mainly grasses and herbs.
Herbs.
How do they get all of the energy to run that fast with like a grass breakfast?
No, but think about an elephant.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I know.
How do they get so big?
It's amazing.
That's a lot of grass.
Yeah. First one is going to start at the base of the neck and just go out, and whatever is left comes back. But it might just go, if we wrap a little with a bit of overlap, we can just go maybe to the end of the nose. Here we go. And then another piece is going to go from the base of the neck up and back. And that starts to put a little more thickness at the base of the neck. So hares are more independent than rabbits, right? They live a more solitary life.
Yeah, I did see. Well, there was a question about, are they tricky, like in the stories? I mean, they're often kind of
Tricksters?
yes, but it says in real life hares are more calm and fairly shy. But then it talks about them boxing, so I don't get that.
Yeah. They do. They fight each other. Yeah, we'll have to find out more about that. This piece is going to go on the head, and I want to kind of build up the back of the head more than the front, so I can crisscross there. And then when I come down to the nose here, I'm not going to try to wrap this again, but I am going to turn around and go back up, putting more of the wool towards the back of the head. So I had an interesting conversation about core wool, and apparently in the UK they often describe it as coarse.
Oh.
But our core wool is very
Really
soft.
soft.
It's about 23 or 24 microns, which is on the soft side, and I think the softness gives it the springiness and the shape, the sponginess, like the shape building. A little aside, but I thought it was interesting. Okay. I have one more piece here. I think I'll just do the chest again, since it's just sitting here.
A lot of pen tools going on there.
I just never know which one I want. This needs to be thicker. Well, I think I'll wrap the tops of the legs, and then I'll build up the body. So this is what I'm deeming to, like, calling the second layer. But obviously some of this already has 2 layers. So we're going to continue on the second layer front by getting the, from the butt to the knee and from the shoulder to the elbow covered in a second piece of wool. So I'm going to use a 6-inch piece in quarters. And on the hind legs, it helps to go around the body just to get it going. And I'm going to go down to the knee, and I'm really stretching my fiber out here. And when there's more, you go back up. The down and up technique, the goal of it, sort of the use of it, the purpose, is to just get this a little thicker and then tapered. And that's a real handy thing to do on wrapping your armatures. On just tons of our shapes start thick and taper. You know what I mean? So it puts wool where you need it in a really efficient way. Like wrapping, I feel like, is the most efficient way to build the project. When you start adding shapes, it's a lot more work. Same with the crisscross. It puts wool onto the armature in a way that can be really helpful.
So as you stab that skinny little, not so much wool on wire area with your pink pen tool, Just a note, that has 2 needles in it, right? Not 3.
Yeah, I think I generally use the pen tool with 2 needles. It does keep them in a line, and I can get right up against my wire. If I have to stab something that is a line detail, like the black in the eye, or the dent in the muzzle, it's just a lot easier. I think it's a lot easier.
Just in case people are home breaking needles and wondering what's going on, take a needle out of your pen tool.
And take that pink guard off too.
Yeah.
Okay. On the shoulders, this piece is going to start on the shoulder, go down to the elbow, and return to the body. And that unifies this upper leg. So I put the fluff on the shoulder. Instead of just wrapping the leg again, I want to unify the leg to the body. So I put the fluff on the shoulder. I'm going to come down to the elbow. I'm going to turn around. And when I get back to the top, I'm going to put the fluff on the shoulder. So this is a technique that you have to do a little fluff stabbing, but be careful of all that armature in the shoulder area. Have a ginger stab so that when you do hit armature, you kind of bounce off. You're not like trying to break through the armature with your needles, because it doesn't work. So I start on the shoulder, come down to the elbow, and return the fluff to the shoulder. All right, now I'm going to thicken up this, and I'm going to use, I'm going to use an 8-inch half instead of a quarter, because I just want to get this on there and see where I end up. I'm not putting more here. This is pretty thick. So I'm just going to start there and work towards the butt. All right, that's pretty good. I'm going to put this one too. The smoothest and tightest I can get this, the less felting it needs.
So you went front to back and then back to front.
I did. You gotta make sure your stuff's like nice and tight to do that, because otherwise it'll bubble it up. But I do think it, like everything, there's like an energy to this wrapping, and the stuff does fine. But I think if you can balance it out a little bit, you stand a better chance at everything being symmetrical. But my legs are always wrapped in one direction. I don't switch on the legs. He looks crazy. Now, one more thing. What we did here, we want to do here. So it goes from body down, back to body, and it just pulls that together. So what did I do? Okay, so another 6 inches, and we're going to quarter it. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet, but they're there. So in this instance, I want to keep this more of like a wide ribbon, because I'm trying to, this wrap can sort of start to fill in this, this muscle and skin right here. So if I start on the back and then bring this around the leg, you can see how it puts that wool right there, and that's what I want. And then I'm just going to go around once and then come around the butt and return to the back. And same thing. It if I turn it this way, you can see it puts wool into this, no wool. So it's not as tight and a more kind of wide ribbon kind of wrap. And these are all of these techniques I use all the time. So as you advance, either with our tutorials or you're going to make something of your own, the same things apply over and over again. So because I have him turned around, this one is going to start over the butt and then return this way. Or if I wrapped him right-handed, it would start over the back, and I can never do it very well. I'll try it. And then over the butt. That would be symmetrical to what I did on the other side. All right, I'm going to go with it. But it is okay to reverse it. So instead of like getting the wool tight to the leg and the body, I'm letting it live in this corner and stabbing it there to become more solid there. Alrighty, I think we can do a couple more things in this stage. I'm going to do the hock wrap, which gives me a nice big joint here. So we're going to use oats. I like to get a little, natural color in there in case I decide to reverse needle it. What did I say? Okay, let's use 4 inches, and I think I'm going to quarter it just because this is a small area that we're targeting, so I don't want a big bulky piece. So I have 2 quarters from that 4 inches, and I'm going to do a crisscross right in this 90-degree angle here, and my one side is always better than the other. So I start on this bone, this bone, and then same thing. I come over here, and now I've put wool into that angle. And every time I crisscross in that angle. And then I'm just going to come down the foot to the dark gray. And that makes a nice little joint right there. And stab that wool in that angle. So the goal is not to add wool back here. Like I can still see my off-white there. And then for some reason when I do this side, it all falls apart, but nobody knows. If I didn't say anything, you wouldn't know. I don't know why I can't do this one.
You're doing it.
It's okay. I really, really tried. I had to really, really try. And then we want to do the same thing up here. And then we're going to add our tendons. It's so exciting. So we have these other 2 quarters. This one doesn't have to be quite so, tight and precise. We just want to get this built up a little bit.
You don't need a dog to catch a lame hare. Wisdom from the Chinese.
I'm not sure who that's helping. This proverb helps no one.
I think some of the proverbs you pick are like that.
This might be the truth about proverbs in general.
Can we get some proverbs?
Can we get a, yeah, exactly. Can we get a proverb definition? I feel like they're supposed to be life advice, but maybe not.
Some of them
I
are.
think we need to make like a Sarafina proverb book.
Oh yeah. We could even just take quotes that we've already recorded.
Yes. There's some doozies.
Including some unseen video footage.
So these wires, this 22 gauge, you just want to bend at the length of the leg, just one side. The other side's going to get sort of buried up in here, and this one's shorter, so I won't have as much to bend. I just have to bend the tiny little end. And if I were to give you a measurement on that, which would be nice, it's probably like 2.5. Well, that one's 2 1/4. That one's 2 1/2. It'll be okay. So we want to wrap this in oats. So I'm going to take like a 3-inch piece, make some quarters just because it's easy to manage. You could tacky wrap this if you wanted. You don't have to, but like a little bit of tacky wrap helps things. See, this is a proverb in the making.
Little tacky wrap helps things stick. Here's a good
It's
one.
more like you could felt without tacky wrap.
But why?
But I don't know. We'll have to work on that one.
This is life advice. This is a good
Okay,
one from the
okay.
Dutch. When we least expect it, the hare darts out of the ditch. You're not buying it?
All right, this wait, I have to instruct.
You have to instruct it.
This we want really tight, really, really tight, because it's representing a tendon. So you don't want this all loosey-goosey in there. So I have both of my tendons, and we'll go ahead and wrap those on, and I'm going to use the caramel to do that. Caramel?
Well, that's a debate.
I'm going to take a 6-inch piece and do quarters. Because we want this to be nice and thin so that you can see the shapes underneath. Like once we put this on and wrap it, you know, we don't want a ton of bulk here. We just want a nice thin piece that's going to hold it on. All right. Just like that. So I just have the end of the piece just coming to the back of the level with the back of the foot. And now you can see how nice this joint looks.
Wait, we haven't talked about the hare darting out of the ditch when you least expect it.
Yeah.
That's life advice.
Where's my bag? I thought I brought out. Oh, here it is. I found it. You didn't have to get up. Okay.
So if you're hunting, that's your opportunity.
But it's
and
when
it's-
you least expect it.
Right, like you should always.
All right. See, you're so
be
good
prepared.
at this. I'm just like, that's dumb. And you find.
You got to be ready.
depth.
If you're not ready, you're going to miss it.
True.
Not that we condone hunting brown hares.
We do condone. Condone's a good word, right?
Yes.
We do condone being ready for opportunity.
Ready for opportunity.
Absolutely. I do have a good vocabulary. Sometimes I just also have self-doubt.
But you're also like making something and trying to teach it.
Well, condone is also very frequently misused. So it's
Right. It sounds negative, doesn't it?
yeah, because people always say we don't condone that. You get it in your head that condone is like
Yes.
Always negative.
Thank you for rescuing me from that. I think it's true.
It's like one of those body pillows you use to sleep to help your lower back. Is that random?
What
it reminded me of.
my sister totally teased me. She's like, you need this body pillow. It was like, what is that catalog? Hamburger Schlemmer?
Oh.
Where all the weird stuff is in there. And I was like, I totally need that. It goes like all the way. It's everything.
Oh, nice.
And then I didn't get it for Christmas.
Oh.
So I just have to order it for myself. But I do have 2 king size pillows on both sides and like 3 pillows for my one has to go on my head, under my head.
Wow.
And yeah. And then I got a couple of dogs. All right, let's see where we are. Nobody cares. Butt to thigh inclusion. We did that. Oats at stifle, we did that. Head in dark gray, let's do that. So, and one more wrap on the head. So getting the dark gray under there gives us some fun stuff to pull out and get some of the color variation that they have. I'm going to take this piece, which is what's left, and just pull about a third off of that. It's about a 6-inch strip. And I'll see, I don't want to do too much more than that. So really tight so that when I go to put my face shapes on here, they just incorporate right into a well-established, firm base. How did we go from opportunity to body pillow?
Oh, that was me. I said it was random. Because you had the little thing in between his thighs.
Yeah.
It looked comfortable.